Good morning, second grade scholars. It's Miss Nestor, and I'm back for day 3 of our Journeys reading lesson. Today we'll be doing vocabulary strategy, we'll review the vocabulary words, and we'll also take a second look at the anchor text Henry and Mudge. Vocabulary strategies. Now, we started vocabulary strategies since you've been in kindergarten, actually. What's really good about vocabulary strategies is that they help you better understand a whole lot of words at one time. So, learning vocabulary words, that's great, but we can't ever know all the words in the world, right? So, what strategies do, they help you better understand even words that you've never heard before, words you don't know, so they help you understand the meaning, and they also help you understand how words are connected to each other. So, for this lesson, we will be doing the vocabulary strategy alphabetical order. This is when words are listed in the same order as the letters of the alphabet. We can also say ABC order for short. Now, when you have a group of words, you look at the first letter of the words to see which word comes first. It also helps to say the alphabet sometimes when you get stuck. So let's look at this list that we have. Dog, cage, second. If we were going to put this list in ABC order, let's say we would say the ABCs. A, B, C. C is the first letter of a word that we have, cage. So cage would be the first word that we put in ABC order. Then D, I know D is after C, so dog would be the next word. And the last word would be second. I know S is all the way at the end of the alphabet. So my words would be in this order: cage, dog, and second. If you have words that have the same first letter, then you would look at the neighbor. You would look at the second letter. If the words have the same second letter, then you look at the next neighbor, the third letter, and so on and so forth. So let's look at this list that we have: stood, sister, and street. Now they all start with the same letter, S. So we will go to the second letter. Two of the words start with a T, stood and street, but sister has the second letter, that's I. And if I say A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I comes first. So sister would be my first word that I have. Then if I'm trying to look between stood and street, let's see, we already said they have the same first letter, the same second letter. Now we have to go to the third letter. So the third letter of street is R, and the third letter of stood is O. And I know Hijklmno, O comes first. So it would be sister would be number 1, stood would be number 2, and street would be number 3. You're probably wondering, why is this skill important, right? We use this skill all the time, actually. So we have dictionaries that have all the words, a lot of words, probably not all the words in the world, but a lot of words, and they have to be in some order so people know how to find the words in there. You're probably thinking, I don't really use dictionaries much. You know, we have all these digital tools at our hands, but I know everyone uses a phone, whether it's yours or your parents'. Even phones, the contacts are in ABC order. So if you're looking to call a friend or a family member, you still have to use this strategy of ABC order to find the person you're looking for. Books are also in ABC order at the bookstore and at the library. If you have sight words in your classroom, they're in ABC order. Or even if you have a bunch of cards, sight word cards at home or at school, I would probably organize it in ABC order just because I can find words easier in that way. Guess what? Even teachers use this in their grade book, and when they do attendance, they also have your names in ABC order. So this is something that a lot of people actually use. So it's a good skill to know. Okay, let's move on to our vocabulary words. We are going to match each riddle or clue with the correct word. Let's look at number 1. You might say, these are necklaces for dogs. Already I'm thinking about the motion that we have like this. Do you remember the word that has this motion? Did you get it? It's this word right here, collars. Bands that animals wear around their necks. So that word will match number 1. Okay, good job if you got that one. Let's go to number 2. This is how the zookeeper found out how heavy the hippo was. I'm thinking about heavy. I'm thinking about this motion. Are you? Yes, that matches the word weighed. Can you say it? Weighed? It means had a certain heaviness. Okay? Weighed, this is our motion. Weighed, had a certain heaviness. Let's look at number 3. Spaghetti looks like this after they are cooked. Let me think about spaghetti. When spaghetti is not cooked, when it's raw, it's very straight. But this says spaghetti looks like this when after they're cooked. I know spaghetti kind of just drops itself. So if I'm trying to figure out what's something that drops itself, what would be that word? Did you guess it? If you guessed floppy, then you are right. Because floppy means that they're hanging or moving in a loose, droopy way. So floppy can work with this, right? I agree. Okay, let's continue. You could do this next to your teacher to see who is taller. Trying to figure out who is taller. And I remembered something like this, like trying to straighten myself out. What motion goes with that word? What word goes with this motion like this? Do you remember? Yeah? That word was stood. Right over here. Stood means was in an upright position on one's feet. So if you're standing upright on your feet, then you can see if you're taller than your teacher or if you're not taller. All right, good job. Next one says, you can say something looks like this if it has loops or curves. Loops or curves. Think about this. I remember this motion. This kind of reminds me of loops. Do you remember what word goes with this motion? Give you a second. It was curly, having a twisted ring or spiral shape. What's the word? Curly, the motion. And it means, together, say it with me, having a twisted ring or spiral shape. Last clue. You might have done this if you were hungry and smelled something good cooking. I know when I'm really hungry and I smell something good, I feel like I want to eat. So there's only one word that kind of goes with that. And that word is, did you see it? Drooled. Okay? When I'm hungry and I smell something good, I drool, saliva gets in my mouth. Not as bad as the dogs, but it still does. All right? Good job with this. Good job with the words. Okay, let's take a peek at our story again, Henry and Mudge. Remember the genre is realistic fiction, right? Which means it could happen in real life. There could be a dog named Mudge. There could be a boy named Henry who owns that dog. And there could be a boy that has a family without any brothers and sisters and has a dog named Mudge. So this story could really happen. The author, remember, that's the person who writes the words, who writes the story, Cynthia Rylant. It says Henry and Mudge have starred in more than 25 books by Cynthia Rylant. A musical based on their adventures once toured the United States. I was really interested about this. I looked it up, and the first showing was actually back in 2006, almost about 14 years ago. It was December 2006. That was the first show of Henry and Mudge. It says the part of Mudge was played by a grown man in a dog costume. That's funny. Well, I'll assume a dog could not play itself, right? If this were going to be real. The illustrator, Susie Stevenson. Susie Stevenson loves drawing the character of Mudge. In fact, she has 2 big dogs of her own. They don't drool as much as Mudge, she says. Almost a tongue twister there. All right. So let us look at our story. We're going to read it again, and I'm going to be asking you some questions as we read. Okay? Henry had no brothers and no sisters. I want a brother, he told his parents. Sorry, they said. Henry had no friends on his street. I want to live on a different street, he told his parents. Sorry, they said. Henry had no pets at home. I want to have a dog, he told his parents. Sorry, they almost said. Now, can you tell me, why does Henry want a dog? Did you look at the story to find the answer? Remember, answers are going to be found in the text. So you have to look back at the text to get the answer. Okay? So if we look back even on this page, why does he want a dog? Well, his parents said he couldn't have a brother or sister, and they couldn't move. And I think Henry's pretty lonely. It's just him and his mom and dad. So I think he wanted to have more company, and I think that's why he wanted to have a dog. And good thing his parents agreed, right? All right, let's continue. But first, they looked at their house with no brothers and sisters. Then they looked at their street with no children. Then they looked at Henry's face. Then they looked at each other. Okay, they said. I want to hug you, Henry told his parents. And he did. Henry searched for a dog. Not just any dog, said Henry. Not a short one, he said. Not a curly one, he said. And no pointed ears. Now, if we look here, we know that Henry doesn't want a dog with short hair, right? I mean, a short dog. He doesn't want a dog that has curly hair, right? And he also doesn't want a dog with pointed ears. So if we're looking at this picture, are there any dogs here that he would have chosen? I see some short ones. I see some curly-haired ones. And I see some ones with pointed ears. I think this is why he couldn't find a dog at first. None of these dogs matched what he was looking for, right? Okay, let's continue. Then he found Mudge. Mudge had floppy ears, not pointed. And Mudge had straight fur, not curly. But Mudge was short. Because he's a puppy, Henry said. He'll grow. Now, why do you think Henry thinks it's okay to get the dog even though Mudge was short? Right? Because he said he didn't want a short dog. But why do you think he thought it was okay? Did you look back in the story? Yeah? Okay, because right here it gives us the answer, right? It says Mudge was short, but because he's a puppy, Henry knew that he was going to grow, right? So that's why he didn't mind. He thought it was okay. Okay, good job. Let's continue reading. And did he ever? He grew out of his puppy cage. He grew out of his dog cage. He grew out of 7 collars in a row. And when he finally stopped growing, so at this point, how has Mudge changed over time? Did you take a look back at this page? So let's see. It says he grew out of his puppy cage, he grew out of his dog cage, and he even grew out of his collar. So that means he kept growing and growing and growing, right? All right, let's continue. He weighed 180 pounds. He stood 3 feet tall, and he drooled. I'm glad you're not short, Henry said. And Mudge licked him, then sat on him. Such a funny ending. Now let's take a look at our target skill again. Remember, sequence of events mean you go in order, right? You list all the events that happen in time order. So we've looked at this list before. This time, why don't I ask you some questions about what happened before or after something? Let's see. What happened before Henry asks for a dog? Okay, take a look at the chart. Tell me what happened before Henry asks for a dog. So if I come over here, this is where Henry asked for a dog. What happened before means I have to go earlier, or I have to go back, I have to go up. Henry asks to move to a different street, but remember his parents said sorry. So that's what happened before that. Okay, let's do one more. What happens after Henry searches for a dog? Take a look at the chart. What happens after Henry searches for a dog? He finds Mudge, the dog that he now has, right? So this is really helpful to be able to figure out what happened before something or after something once you put all the major events down here on the chart. Okay? Good work with this. Let's do a few more. What happened after Henry's parents look at each other? So we can also use the text to do this, not just the chart. So it says, what happens after Henry's parents look at each other? So going back to the text, did you find where it says that they look at each other? Me too. I found it on top here. It says then they looked at each other. So what happened after? They said, okay, and then they hug, right? We see that in the picture and in the words. All right, let's keep going. How does Henry feel at the beginning of the story compared with how he feels at the end of the story? What text evidence proves this? So let's do this piece by piece. The first part says, how does Henry feel at the beginning? So this is the beginning, and it's saying Henry has no brothers, no sisters. He wants a brother, but his parents say no, and he has no friends. So how do you think he feels here? How would you feel if this were you? Yeah, me too. I'd feel pretty sad and pretty lonely. Yeah, me too. Now let's look at how he feels at the end, right? How does Henry feel at the end, and what text evidence proves this? So if I'm looking at the text here, remember we always go back to the story. I find something that tells me, I find a few things that tells me. What do you see? First, I see where it says here something about him being glad, about his dog not being short anymore. And I also see him smiling. So pictures, illustrations can also be evidence of finding an answer, right? So I think Henry is pretty happy right now. So he was sad in the beginning, but now he's happy. Now let's finish off by looking at the essential question. What is a perfect pet like? Right? When Henry was looking for a pet, he went through all these different things. He didn't just want any dog. He didn't want a short one. He didn't want a curly one. And he didn't want one with pointed ears. Now for Henry, he had a very specific idea of what kind of pet he wanted. But I think this is the case for everyone. You know, everyone has an idea of what their perfect pet is. What's perfect for Henry is probably not the same that's perfect for you. And it's probably not the same that's perfect for me. Everybody has a different perfect. So if we're looking at this picture here, what is a perfect pet like? It depends on the person. Some people love cats, some people love birds, some people love dogs, turtles even, and some people don't like an actual animal. They rather have a stuffed animal. So everybody's different. What's perfect for you is different for what's perfect for other people. Very good work today. I think we had a really good time reading over the story and really trying to understand all the things that they're trying to tell us. Okay, have a good rest of the afternoon. Bye-bye, until next time.